Roast me.
Oh no, I have a joke, but like, is it appropriate? No, I don't know.
Yes, it is. Do it.
Have you seen Megamind?
Yes.
Why do you
You,
look like Metro Man like after he like let himself go?
you son of a bitch.
No, like
You
look it
son of a
up. Look it
bitch.
up. Look it
No,
up.
I
Look it
know the
up.
fucking movie. I love the movie, you asshole.
Just look.
Nikki, we don't like Chema anymore.
No, 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 no.
He said I look like that guy from Megamind after he let himself go. She said that to me.
Damn it. I mean, winning you back easy. Winning her back, that's gonna be a fucking challenge. Damn it.
Love you more, boo.
I'll be honest, and this is to kickstart the review. I can't believe you found the time to watch this.
Yeah, at work.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. You do that.
Yeah. No, yeah, at work, fucking shit. I'll keep this in the podcast. When it's slow and we got nothing to do, James, you piece of shit, I'll watch movies. Adrian is studying so he can quit, and Brian's looking for another job too.
This is what the post college experience looks like, kids.
It's awesome. Look at me. I look like Metro Man from Megamind.
Thank you for welcoming us into your headphones. My name is Chema.
And I'm Eddie. We're reviewing Minari. I want to make sure I
And
wasn't
this-
butchering that. And this
is
the
the
rollback.
rollback. Hey, we timed it.
Yeah, almost there perfectly. All right, folks, we are back after a 1 week hiatus. We are back.
We are back. So we're right in the middle of Oscar season. We're in the twilight of Oscar season. In fact, the Oscars are this Sunday. And I'm thinking I'm going to do an episode either before or after talking about what happened and what won and what deserved to win. And today we're going to talk about one of those movies, which is Minari. I have a little bit of a summary here. Minari 2020, directed by Lee Isaac Chung. It's the 1980s, and David, a 7-year-old Korean-American boy, is faced with the new surroundings and a different way of life when his father, Jacob, moves their family from the West Coast to rural Arkansas. His mother, Monica, is aghast that they live in a mobile home in the middle of nowhere, and naughty little David and his sister are bored and aimless when his equally mischievous grandmother arrives from Korea to live with them. Her unfamiliar ways arouse David's curiosity. Meanwhile, Jacob, hell-bent on creating a farm on untapped soil, throws their finances, his marriage, and the stability of the family into jeopardy. So this movie kind of came out of nowhere. Like A24 has been a studio that has brought us very interesting, very original films, and this is their most recent one, headed straight into the Oscars. And this is a bit of a history-making film because Steven Yeun, coming straight from being killed in The Walking Dead, comes in and he makes history as the first Asian actor to be nominated as in the category for Best Actor.
Really? First ever? It's
right.
Not even in Parasite? No one was nominated for Best Actor?
No one for acting was nominated in Parasite. This also caught me by surprise. Like, this shouldn't be the first. So, but apparently it is. So,
in the year of our Lord 2021?
I mean, and can I just say, what a performance. What a job. I mean,
being a huge fan of The Walking Dead for like 6 years, like I followed it from season 1 onward, like, and I had to wait weeks for a new episode. I had to wait months for new seasons, right?
If I'm not wrong, Glenn was your favorite, right?
He was. No, he actually was. I picked Glenn, Nikki picked Maggie. We were like, oh, they're the cute couple we love. And he was a good guy. He was a fundamentally good person. So when Glenn died, I was pissed, but also it was hard for me to see Steven Yeun, envision him as anything else. Every time I watched him in anything, I'd be like, oh, hey, Glenn, And this movie was the performance that snapped him out of that, oh, that's Glenn thing. Now I'm like, that's Steven Yeun. Fuck. Incredible acting, incredible performance. I saw a lot of some of his range in The Walking Dead because he had to be very dynamic. But, and I might be wrong when I say this performance was too good for me to not believe that this was personal to him. Like, I don't know if his family actually went through this, but he acted in such a manner where it's like he's seen hardship before, you know?
Totally. I know two things are like personal that connect to real life. The first is director Lee Isaac Chung. I believe I'm saying it that right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Lee Isaac Chung. So sorry. Go ahead.
I was
No.
gonna say, folks.
Okay.
By the way, if we butcher any of the pronunciations of these names, we apologize. It's just that we're not adept at saying these names on a regular basis. So if we do butcher these names, our bad. Like we're trying our best. Please bear with
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. So Lee Isaac Chung, he's writer director. He wrote the screenplay and he directed the film. And this story is the story of how he made the film. This story happened to him when he was a kid. So this same thing, like his family moving from one place to another and then starting to create a farm and everything, this happened in real life to him. And much like the dad in the film, he was also I'm gonna be a writer, I'm gonna direct, I'm gonna make films, and his family is like, just give up, man. Like just let's do something else so that we can maintain our family. And he's like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna do this one last thing, I'm gonna write just this one script, and if it doesn't stick, then fine. And this is the script.
This was the script.
So, this was the script. So
wow,
that's personal to him. The thing that I know is personal to Steven Yeun is that the little red hat that he wears throughout the film, apparently he's had that since he was like 16. Oh. And that also feels like a little bit personal. Taking back the red hat, good for you, Steven Yeun. Just bringing it back for something good. And I don't know, there's something so inherently personal and tender about this film. When I was watching, when the movie Lady Bird came out, I saw that someone reviewed it and said it's a movie that feels like it's shot that looks like a memory, and I think that same thing applies here. It's very nostalgic, it's very tender, and it's very sweet, and it has this very very calm slice of life. If you remove all the supernatural elements, this feels like a My Neighbor Totoro or like a Kiki's Delivery Service. Like it feels like a slice of life anime film, just with like real life people. And it's nice. I mean, it's very family oriented. It's very calm. I watched this movie with my dad, and he had no idea what was going on, but he immediately got hooked on it. Really? And yeah, which is weird because he has a very specific taste. But when we were watching it, he was loving the antics that the grandma was pulling. He was loving like all the little things that were happening. And there's something about this film that, like I told you, feels very personal, but feels engaging.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna say the camera work in this film was amazing. When the kids are running through the woods and through the fields and whatnot, you're right. It feels like a memory. It's shot like a memory in those instances. But to counteract that, the arguments that they have
too real.
Yeah, too real. I believe it's Jacob and Monica, right? The husband and wife. She arrives and she doesn't even have to act, man. She looks pissed. She looks disdained. She looks dissatisfied. Like, what the fuck is this? And you get the feeling, and you can already tell immediately from the get-go, their marriage is a bit on the rocks. They're having issues, but I love the fact that they don't tell a lot of things. They tell David, hey, don't run. His kids, let him run. And then you see, they're shaking his heart, like, oh, how am I doing, Mom? And she's like, you're doing good. You're doing okay. Like they do a lot of show, don't tell, which to their credit, there's a lot of that throughout this film. Some of their fights are legitimately uncomfortable because I think either you've been in those fights or you've seen your parents have those fights. Like, you understand their arguments. And the thing is, you kind of understand both of their sides. Neither one is really wrong.
Yeah. And which brings, I think, a lot of normalcy to the film and grounds it. Like, this feels like a thing that could happen to anyone. So it doesn't feel like a movie. It feels like you're just watching just real life. You're sitting through a little bit of real life. And there are some parts that feel a little bit cartoony, like the religious neighbor who's always helping them out. Like he feels like just straight out of a cartoon, but he
Yeah.
brings a little bit of a little bit of balance and a little bit of humor to the
Mhm.
film, and to show how different the place that they are is to where they were at before. And speaking of show don't tell, I think one of my favorite scenes is right at the start when they're having the first fight at night at the house, and the two kids start writing "stop fighting" in these paper planes and just start throwing them at them. Like that feels like that's not the first time that they've done that. It feels like this is like a normal thing already.
Mhm.
So yeah, very grounded, very slice of life. And I like around the first third, the grandma comes in, and the grandma just fucking steals the movie. She's also nominated for an Oscar,
Best
and
supporting actress, I believe. Yeah.
yeah, and she's awesome. I love the grandma in this film because she
Mhm.
feels very natural. Like that's how grandmas are. Like my
She.
dad was watching it. I
Mhm.
remember when we got to a point where like my dad was watching it, and it was like, my mom is exactly like this.
Yeah.
And I have to remind them like yeah, that's the grandma experience.
No, it is. It didn't feel like she was acting. She felt like you're everyone's grandma. Like it felt
Yeah.
right. You know.
Yeah. And there's like this ongoing like line that the young boy starts saying to the grandma, where it's like, you're not a normal grandma, because he grew up in the United States. So for him, the idea of a grandma is like all sweet and all kind and making cookies and everything, and she doesn't have this foreign grandma, which I know how that is. So it hits different. Yeah. She sits and watches TV, she gambles, she shows them how to play like these card games,
She's
and
badass though.
she's badass, she's cool. And um throughout most of the film, we have this very serious, very calm, very soothing movie where we're seeing this ranch start to take like shape, and we see a little bit of everything else that they're doing. We see how he's going to start this business of selling these veggies, and then at the end we have this very emotional, very graphic um blowout through their constant fighting that ends in a compromise. It should be a compromise, but it's not a compromise until finally actions end up speaking louder than words. And because throughout the film, I'm like, I'm enjoying this, but why is it at the Oscars? And then that ending is kind of what really drives the point home. Because I was about to be like, you know what, Steven Yeun, fuck you. Like, I don't want to hear from you ever again. But
Mhm.
no, he brought it back. There's
Mhm.
this video of Steven Yeun's last day on The Walking Dead, where he's saying goodbye to everyone, and all the cast members and all the crew members are just coming up and hugging him, and everyone wants to hug him because everyone likes him so much, and because he's such a likable dude. And I don't know. I remember watching that, and when it came out that he was nominated, like that video was like retweeted, and then someone's like, here, just blessing up the timeline with some Steven Yeun content, and
Yeah.
oh god, he's so good, he's so dynamic, and he's so good in this role as this very stern, very strong father. And I like when those cracks start to break. Like I like that part where like the religious neighbor is like, we did a good job, and he just stops. It's like, yeah, you did a good job, thank you. And he just like
Yeah.
he like cracks a smile, and like he's like, okay, let's get back to work. Like I
Yeah.
like those moments because he breaks, and a dad at that time and in that position with kids that age, he's not allowed to break.
Yeah.
And I like how they were able to explore all that by, like you said, just showing and not telling.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is like, I think a lot of us, I can't speak for everyone, but I think a lot of kids grew up with a father that, for the most part, not saying it's normal for everyone,
The
but
universal experience, yeah.
yeah, the universal experience is that your father's typically stoic, strong. He can laugh, he can smile, but for the most part, he doesn't show what's called weakness, but really it's just emotion.
Yeah.
Like when he's frustrated or pent up or like emotional. I think a lot of us grow up with stoic fathers. So for him to finally have that moment and hit that point, that breaking point, I mean, it's like, oh, that hurt.
Yeah.
It felt personal,
Mhm.
not a bad way, but it felt personal.
Yeah. feels very directed. Like this is definitely a story that like really happened. Like there are some things that you just can't deny. Like this is too
Can't fake it.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't fake it. That's why and I like how the movie balances out that those serious moments with very lighthearted humor. Like there's a scene where like he even tells the young boy like, bring me the stick, I'm gonna hit you with it. And he brings the stick and it's broken. And he's like, okay, go outside, get me another stick. And then he comes back and he brings like the thinnest just shit. And oh god, scenes like that, the peeing scene, the pee in the cup scene, the Mountain Dew. Yeah, there's just this is like the unexpected black comedy of like the year. I mean, it's more drama than comedy, but
Yeah.
I think the same way that you need to have comedy in a horror, you need to have like light comedy in this to just like keep the balance out.
I think there's also some cringe in it, like that you look back and you're like, oh fuck, I was this dumbass kid. Like when you shit talk to the grandma, she smells like Korea. Like,
Yeah.
oh, that sounds like something a dumbass child would say. I'd be embarrassed too if my kid.
They are dumbass kids. That's the
Yeah,
whole
no,
purpose.
that's what I mean though. It's like, oh man, why you gotta go there?
Yeah. Yeah. And I like how the movie was like very grounded on those specifics and how it's, even though it doesn't take place in Korea, like the characters are Korean and it cannot happen if they're not Korean. Like it was important to the story that part is explored. And I'm okay with movies that play out the struggle of like a foreign family in the US. I'm fine with those movies. I like some of them I don't. But I like how this movie addressed that, like in the scene when they're in the church, but didn't make it the whole focus. Like there's this movie I think normalizes these kind of roles and these kind of movies, and I bless it. Thank you. I want more movies like this and with like all nationalities. But I like that a movie like this exists in this current like panorama. Like I think it's gonna broaden the spectrum with that.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. When Parasite won last year at the Oscars, the director said there's such a big window of movies out there if you're just fine with watching the subtitles.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, pretty much. And that was the first time that a foreign film won Best Picture. So more power to them. And we saw Parasite. Parasite was fucking amazing. So
Yeah.
more power to them. Let's keep them coming.
No, also in this movie, you touched a bit on it about the immigrant experience coming to the U.S. and dealing with it and whatnot. You and I are Hispanic, that's obviously a part of our heritage. I didn't really experience it that so much, but my parents, my dad's a first generation immigrant. My grandfather brought my family over. My mother, same thing. She worked in the fields in California. The immigrant experience is built into my parents, like to where I can ask them stories of their youth, and they have those stories, they have those experiences. I'm not sure about your parents, your history, if you are the first generation or whatnot, but my question, I guess, would be, did you feel it personal to some extent, in your own being? Did this movie feel a little personal to you?
Yes, but in a different sense. I remind you and the audience that while yes, we are Hispanic, I am 100% like Mexican, born in Mexico, living in Mexico like throughout most of my life. So me living in the US for like 5 years was more of a college experience than a foreign country experience. So it's a little bit different. I think you can touch a little bit way more on that, but I can tell you that it feels personal just because of like, I was a kid once, and I remember how it felt to have a big field and just like walk around in it and just find things. You know, um, it's kind of it's a thing that like when you're that age, when you're a kid's age, everything feels big and mysterious and kind of wonderful. And yeah, that feeling is shared in this film and it's transmitted throughout the performances of those two kids, which wonderful child actors. They feel the part, and they feel like they were just picked out of that time, and they're great. And yeah, it felt personal because whenever those kids did anything, I remember feeling when I was that age and I did things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So hell, even that part when like when the young boy is with the grandma and they see the snake and he's like, a snake, and he just like freaks out about just seeing it. I know how that feeling is like. And yeah, the immigrant experience I think plays out a little bit in that, but maybe in a weird way I think it's going to play way more to you than it does to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because like to me it's like I would just go outside and be like, yeah, this is Mexico. This is what it looks like.
Yeah.
I didn't have anything to compare it to. So yeah, it is a little bit different, but yeah, I can confirm that it feels hella personal.
My dad, I don't
Yeah.
know. I think I feel personal to it in a couple different ways. I understand the wants and the struggles of two parents that want to provide a good living for their family. That's what my parents had to do, In the same instance, I can, uh, me speaking for myself, like, I can just speak for me and, I'm married, a
Yeah.
wife, we're going to start family soon. I viewed it a lot from the perspective of the father. At least when it came to him wanting to start a new life, I understand his desire to, start this ranch. He doesn't want to be like a filthy rich billionaire. He just wants to give his family a good, dignified living. His wife at one time says like we could have been fine in California. At our job, which is a bit of an odd job, I want to say, but we could have
I
been
mean, it's
fine
a job
there.
that someone has to do. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Poor little nuggets. But poor little nuggets. Anyway,
Oh god, for context, their job is they look at chickens that are alive and they see if they're male or female and they put them in different bins. So
gee, I
their
wonder what
job
happens to
is
the male
just
chickens.
it's just looking at this,
Gee, I
looking
wonder
at
what happens to
chicken
the male.
genitals like the entire day.
Oh God, it's a job. It's a job.
It's a
It's
living.
not. But yeah, it's a
It's a
living.
living.
Yeah, she makes a point saying like we could have been fine. Like we would have been fine in California doing this. And he says like, yeah, we would have done till the day we died. Like we want more than this. They're chasing the actual American dream. But the thing is, they're not glorifying it like a lot of other movies. Like and this is kind of a bit over the top, but like Scarface, for example, he wants the American dream. Um, it's two very different ways of going about it, but they both want the same thing. And it's their journey getting there. Scarface obviously nowhere near as realistic as this story, oversaturated with violence and whatnot, versus a film where you see the pains and the struggles and even the resistance, for this. But you understand it though. That's I'll give them props for the writing when it comes to the mother to Monica. She makes sense. She has some fair points. You're risking everything we've got, our life savings, coming here. Like you're genuinely rolling the dice and risking your family. One of the most tense scenes for me was when the hurricane came, the tornado came, and you see the water leaking in. You see everything like coming down because we've been through some hurricanes, we've been through some tornadoes, some storms like this, and that's stressful. The power goes out, and I love how the parents are stressing, trying to hold everything down, while the kids are making fucking boats to take outside. It's like, oh man, like this is taking everything full circle because an adult can appreciate both sides.
To be young and that innocent. I mean,
And then to be that old and that worried and scared.
so anyway, what you're trying question.
Shoot.
And you can lie. I won't be offended.
Mm-hmm.
At the end when they're having the conversation of like, are you gonna risk everything for something that might not work? Is that gonna be you with the podcast like at some point like later this year? Like is that
not the podcast, probably a few other things too though. I have some ideas in this noggin of mine.
Okay.
We're gonna see. We're gonna find out. Some calculated risks right there. Withdraw my retirement plan, my 401k. I'm only 27. There's not that much in it.
American dream.
But maybe that's why I like this one so much. I felt like a personal. Besides the fact that it was Glenn, Stephen Yeun. Besides the fact it was him, I felt personally invested in this character. I wanted him to succeed so I can succeed. You know what I mean?
It feels like it felt like every time that a vegetable came out right, and he started like putting them in boxes, it felt like a win for him. It felt like a win for me, you know? I feel
Yeah,
like, fuck yeah, you did it. Like,
you got one,
closer.
and those
Yeah.
ones will add up hopefully, and then that fucking ending,
Yeah, so let's talk about the ending because
dude.
it's not a
The
controversial ending, but I think it's a super fitting ending because everything just comes full circle right there.
dude, the dick punch of all dick punches.
Yeah, so the grandma starts having these spasms and these attacks, and so they decide to leave her in the home while they go to a hospital and also to check up on their younger kid who has a heart condition. And while they're there, Stephen Yeun's character Jacob brings some of his crops to bring to this business because he's going to try to establish a relationship there to only sell directly to them, and so he can become their provider and have a more stable income. And when they're there, before they go, before they check up with the son, Monica and Jacob have this conversation where she goes like, "Are you willing to risk us for this?" And he says like, I think a line that is very, I don't, I don't stand by it, but I understand where it's coming from. Where he goes, "I need the kids to see me like succeed in something," and I don't doubt that that's a feeling that a lot of dads have felt. Okay, that's a strong sentiment, and it's one of those things where like they tell you and you go like, oh, fuck, how do I contradict that? You know,
You can't.
because there's a part of me who's like, no, save your family, but there's a part of me that's like, oh, a man's pride is
Deadly.
is
Look, man,
is
he's
a
not
hard
Vegeta.
thing.
Okay, look, he's not Vegeta. He's not trying to conquer a planet, right? He just wants his kids to be like, Dad. That's all he
Yeah.
wants. That's all he fucking wants.
Yeah, that's why I feel like that line cuts very deep. Not because I relate to it, but because I
Get it?
I can't find an argument against it. You know,
Yeah.
like there's a part of me that's like, man, fuck your pride. Like, let's survive. But there's also a part of me that's like, okay, you know what? Okay, uh, roll with it. You know.
Yeah.
But anyway, they kind of go on like this. They might break up. They might disappear, and then out of nowhere, just as magic, the boy is better. His heart condition is getting better, and he gets accepted. And the dad gets to sell his precious crops, and he gets the income, and everything looks like it's gonna be okay. And then they have another conversation, which I think that's the second that they nominated for him for an Oscar. Just that conversation that he has with Monica, like right outside of the car, when they're like, "Yeah, you kids go sit there, go wait in the car," and they have that fight, and it's very subtle and it's very quiet, and where they go like, "Well, don't you see? Like, I'm gonna be able to sell these crops. I'm gonna be able to have an income, and our kid is doing better. Everything is fine." And she goes like, "No, before we found out all this, you were ready to give all of it up." And that's good drama, man. Like, that's good writing. That's a good argument, because that's you can't like hate them both. You can't stand for them both. You have to understand both sides. And that's what I think makes relationships messy and complicated, when you can't really disagree with any of them. And they have this very quiet drive back home. And when they get there, the grandma set everything on fire, and all the crops are getting lost. And we have this beautiful moment where Monica just jumps in and starts saving all the crops, and Jacob starts doing the same thing. And then they just stop and they realize that they only need each other, and they decide to save each other and let the crops burn in a beautiful shot of like fire over the crops. And it's beautiful, and it's metaphorical and everything. And Jesus Christ, I fucking love this movie.
You, you
It's
know what
good
looked
drama,
amazing?
man.
It
You know
is good
what?
drama. You know what looked amazing?
But
When they're all collapsed and huddled together on the floor in the house afterwards. Just
oh
dead
god,
ass tired. Like, I think we've all can relate. We've all had those days at some point.
yeah, it felt like that scene in Roma when they're just all huddled up like right on the beach, and they're all hugging. Like, it reminded me a lot of that scene. And Jesus, this is good drama, and this is good. This is a this is a worthy of the Oscars, and it's worthy of all the praise that it's getting. Writer director Lee Isaac Chung, I salute you. This was a masterpiece. I can't wait for your next film. Steven Yeun, you made history, dude. I kind of hope you win so you can just have a night that's gonna be all yours, man. Because this is probably my favorite male performance from the Oscars so far, and I hope he wins because this was really good.
Dude, this is the guy that's directing Your Name.
This is the guy who's directing the live action Your Name?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So I think it's in good hands.
Fuck yeah.
Because I just looked him up. I'm like, well, okay, what has he done? Like, what things? He graduated from University of Utah. They actually have the best creative writing program in the country.
Really?
Yeah. I remember because I saw the documentary about it, and they only accept like 20 students a year. And they legitimately get over 5,000 applicants.
Dang. Well.
Yeah. So. Shit.
Yeah, he's gonna do Your Name.
Yeah.
Your Name is in good hands.
Hey, there you go. Are you happy? I hope you're happy.
I mean,
it was a pretty good movie. I liked it. I hope it comes out good.
Yeah, I mean, if it's in his hands, then good. But before him, it was gonna be the guy who directed the two Amazing Spider-Mans, and I think it's in better hands here. So it's all good. No hate to Mark Webb, but
some hate to Mark Webb.
All praise to Lee Isaac Chung is what I'm saying. Yeah.
How did you like the aftermath of it? Because it felt like there was a lot of compromise in the aftermath.
It is, but so does marriage.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I think that imitates real life. In a good way. While I was watching the film, while I was watching it with my dad, if you watch a movie with my dad, and I hope you never have to, but if you ever watch a movie with my dad, he starts predicting what's gonna happen, and he never gets it right. But his prediction was that they were gonna, like, the crops were not gonna work, but they were gonna live off the Minari, which is what the grandma was planting, like right next to the river, like that was kind of like a couple of ways outside of the house. And that scene at the end where like he finally like gives in and gets the water installed and buys the fucking stick to find the water, and him and his son are going and picking up the Minari. There is a lot of compromise there, but it makes sense because, like I said before, I think that's how families also work. And I'm saying this, I'm not married. I don't know the experience. You can probably speak a little bit more on that, but there is something. I think it's a lot of give and take. I don't doubt that it's a lot of, hey, maybe I'm gonna have to give up on things that I didn't even knew I want. But I like the ending. It's very different, but it's a little comforting that, hey, they're keeping on,
Mm-hmm.
So good for them.
It's not a perfect ending, but it's the right ending, if that makes sense. Like the Hollywood ending, the way ending that would have made this movie not nominated would have been, it gets better, everything's fine. He sells his crops, they do well. You fast forward like a few years, David's running around, he doesn't really have a heart problem anymore. There are fields of shit, and his parents have a good home, and they're like, see, told you everything was going to turn out fine. That's not the ending we get. We get a compromise, which I think is better and more realistic.
Totally. And yeah, it makes sense that a movie like this will have an ending like this because, like I said before, it's like looking at real life, and the ending doesn't feel like an ending because it doesn't end. Their lives are just gonna continue, and it might go well. From the end, it looks like it could go like a lot better. So yeah, this is a movie that is hard to rate or to give a score to because it doesn't feel like a movie. It feels like an experience, like you just watched something that felt kind of realistic. This is the feel-good movie that I think the world needed. Okay. Mm-hmm. Much like Soul was at the end of last year. I think if you're going to sit down and watch an Oscar film, you can take your pick. Really, I've watched 6 out of 8 of them. I'm still missing Mank, and I'm missing Oh God, what's the other one I'm missing? I'm missing Mank, and I'm missing The Father, which I'm dreading to watch. I don't want to watch The Father, but I'll watch it because I love cinema. But yeah, if you want a feel good movie, this is the feel good movie of the Oscars. This is a movie to sit down. I recommend watching it with your family because I mean I did, and it ended up going pretty well. Um, Eddie right now is sipping on Mountain Dew because he watched the movie, and
Yes, I am.
um, so yeah, I find it a little bit hard to score too. So I'm not going to, but I will say if you're curious, if you want to know what all the fuss is about, do it. Honestly, it's well worth the watch.
Fair.
You can score it. It's fine. It's
A
your show.
minus, honestly. Like
Yeah.
it's great. It's just I don't see myself rewatching it anytime soon. Like it's a great experience to have, but it's not an experience I
Once.
think I would revisit like multiple times. I could see myself rewatching it in a year or two, kind of like Parasite. You know, I'm not gonna look for it, but I mean, if it comes on TV, I would watch it honestly.
Yeah. I feel like this is yeah, it's not a movie to rewatch. Like I feel like Parasite is rewatchable because of the twist and everything that's happening because it just keeps happening. I love watching that film with someone who's never watched it
What?
because it's great. Like because immediately you see the gears start turning and be like, whoa, okay,
Yeah.
I get it. And this one's not. This is a nice movie to watch with your family once. You know, maybe not think about it for a while, but you think about it for the time that it's happening. And I think that's the precedent that sets a precedent to a great film and a great filmmaker. Can't wait to see what they're gonna do next. And Steven Yeun, you're great, man. I can't wait to see what you're gonna do next. If you're listening to us on YouTube, you can follow us on any of our links down below.
If you're listening to us via podcast, please like and subscribe. We greatly appreciate it. We'd also appreciate it if you can tell your friends about the channel. That's how I found out about most of my favorite podcasts.
Thanks for joining us. If you'd like to hear more about our thoughts on movies, go to therollback.net. I've been Chema.
And I've been Eddie. And
this
was a rollback.
Was a rollback. Signing off with a reminder that coffee can be enjoyed hot, cold, with sugar or without, with milk or without milk, and so can life.
I'm trying to think of a witty last part, but you should never enjoy coffee with soy milk because that sucks.
Oat milk is fantastic. You can leave it at that.
Actually, it is. It is fantastic.
All right, we cut it there.
There you go. Perfect.